This week's parasha portion is Balak, Parashat Balak, a very special parasha. Story of Balak ben Tzipor, the grand wizard that is also the arch enemy of Moshe Rabbeinu when the Jewish people were coming into Eretz HaKodesh. So he is one of the most prominent foes that we need to face. He opposes the Jewish people. Now, I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with the story. But the sum of it is that he comes to curse the Jewish people, to focus on all of our negative aspects. He takes a lofting point and he views the Jewish people and he tries to single out the derogatory issues that he can focus on. But instead of saying bad things, instead of blasphemy, instead of pointing out all of our faults, he ends up speaking out the praise of the Jewish people. Now, one of the sentences he says, so this is again a large portion of the parasha, are his blessings, the Jewish people. Maybe the greatest blessings in all of the Torah that our people receive is from this evil wizard who intended to curse us, but ended up blessing us. Now, one of the blessings he says, one of the verses, he says like this, he says, Lo nachash b'Yaakov v'lo kesem b'Yisrael. This is again a phrase that appears in the brachot of the klalot of Bilam. Now the Ishbitzer Me'ashilach that we're contemplating on here in this form, so he dwells on this phrase. He says, what does this mean? First of all, what are these two phrases, nachash v'kesem? And these two types of, there are actually two types of witchcraft, of wizardry, or again, mentalities of wizardry. So one of them, very briefly, there are details in this. One of them, he says, is when a person is in order to determine his actions, so he flips a coin, and in light of what he decides, or again, there are all sorts of methods in the ancient world that are described in the Torah of how people would mystically determine what an action to take. So one of them is that which action should I go right or left. So let's say he flips a coin. Okay, that's like an example, but that's one of the mentality. That's called nachash. But kesem is when someone, another type of witchcraft, is the opposite, where a person, he doesn't decide what, he's not looking for what to do, but he's looking to interpret the reality in front of him. So like if a black cat crosses me, so how do I react to that? Again, there's one sort of witchcraft which is looking to determine which initiative I should take. Should I go this way or that way? And the other sort of witchcraft is looking how a person should react to the circumstances. So like that idiom, that example that the world knows about. Let's say a black cat crosses the street. So what should I do about that? Now, these are two types of witchcraft. So the verse says, Lo nachash b'Yaakov v'lo kesem b'Yisrael. Now, so the other two phrases here are Yaakov Yisrael. Now, we're familiar with this. Every place in the Torah that these two phrases appear, these are the two names of our nation, two names of our father, one of our, forefathers, Yaakov Avinu. And as we know, he's granted a name by Hashem, Yisrael. Now, also the literal meaning of these names, also as explained in Chasidut and Kabbalah. So the word Yaakov, which also means ankle, is like the lower name, the more earthly name of Yaakov. And Yisrael, Lirosh, which again implies the head, is a more lofty name, again referring to the loftier tendencies of our people. So when our people are in a lowly state, they're usually referred to as Yaakov. And when they're in a higher state, in a loftier state, they're referred to as Israel. Now, this is what the idea or the precision that the Ishbitzer catches on in this word. He says a very, very beautiful thing. That again, like we said, there are all sorts of witchcrafts. So again, what's witchcraft? Witchcraft is like a seeking. If we put this in phrases of how we describe this today, the witchcraft of medieval ages, of ancient times, is like today's human seeking or search for certainty, stability. So today it could be science or witchcraft. Again, maybe not as mystical and dark magic, but in all sorts of ways, luck, and everybody has karma, and everybody has his own astrology or whatever it is that you're kin to. But there's a human tendency, like a yearning, that every human being is looking for certainty. Obviously, especially in times of dire need. or you're looking for something to lean on. Now, it could span from anything. It could go from very reasonable things like science to very non-reasonable things, unrational things, again, like astrology. But the soul has this yearning to know what to do. Like, which number should I put in the lottery, or which stock should I buy, or even should I just buy this apartment? Should I invest? Should I not invest? And what should I do? Should I operate? Should I not operate? Every debate a person has in life, then it pronounces our inherent sense of lack of stability. That there's so many unknowns, and there's so many unknowns that we don't even know that we don't know. We feel in every human being, like the human condition, is existing within a sense of lack of stability, of doubt, and that existential state breeds a yearning, a human yearning for stability, for certainty. And that this yearning can be funneled in all sorts of different directions. But the Ishbitzer points out that there's a core, like an archetype, grand debate within like all of the different areas of how a person might seek for certainty. There's in the core of all of that debate, there's a deeper, more inherent debate. He says the deeper, more inherent debate is where a person is not only is he debating what he should do, he's also debating whether or not he should do. And this is, again, if we take this all to our personal lives, this is a very, very deep contemplation. And that more than I'm debating in my life, like constantly, I have uncertainties of what to do. I have a deeper uncertainty of whether or not I should take initiative, or should I flow. And this is like the deepest debate that a person has. Something's happening. Should I roll with it? Should I try to flow with the circumstances, or should I try to impose myself on the circumstances? Like, it's a more basic stance than what to do. It's what approach should I take in life. Like in every circumstance, in every situation, every scenario in life, before I need to determine what to do, first I need to determine how am I going to go about it. Which general mentality am I going to approach this scenario? Am I going to approach it from a place of initiative, that I'm here in order to fasten reality, to harness reality, to take it in my direction, to lead reality? Or am I going to approach reality in a way that I'm trying to be sensitive and flow correctly with the circumstances? So, and then once I make that decision, then I'll also have to decide what to do. So the debate, the local doubt of what should be done is only a lower level of debate. But there's a deeper, more inherent sense, if we say this in a faithful way, like in a more religious manner, then it's like a question a person has: what does Hashem want from me? Does the Kadosh Baruch Hu want me to react correctly, like this, to survive, to stand strong and stand tall through this nisayon? I have this hardship, right? And I need to survive the hardship, or is HaKadosh Baruch Hu anticipating me to do something? Again, these are two different approaches. Am I supposed to weather this situation, or am I supposed to do something about it? Do I need to take initiative, or do I need to be passive? And each one of these approaches is, again, it's touching on a very, very deep place in the core of my faith. On the one hand, there's a very deep place where a person wants to believe that everything is happening to him is in divine providence, and therefore it's sensible, or it feels right to think that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to take it, to survive it, to justify what's happening and roll with it and trust Him. And again, here, trust, confidence implies being calm and passive and believing everything is for the best. But there's a different type of confidence. There's a more initiative confidence, that Hashem is anticipating me to do something, that these circumstances aren't just something that I need to withstand and believe. It's something that Hashem is trying to suck out of me, a certain action, an initiative. Now that debate, like translating reality, what does Hashem want from me? Is he anticipating, what does he want? Is he anticipating that I do something about this, or is he anticipating that I weather this situation? Approaching in which manner, approaching each scenario is like the grand debate of life, even before the more local question of what to do. The first question is how to do it, how to approach it. And then I'll have to answer the question of what to do. Now this is how the Ishbitzer explains these two types of witchcraft. Like, one is to determine which initiative to take, should I go right or left? And the other one is how to determine, how to interpret circumstances. And he explains that one of the most acute senses of life is that a person needs to have, again, each one of them is true, first of all. So it's true. Sometimes you need to be able to roll with the punches. And something happens, you need to believe whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu is doing is for the best, and accept the circumstances and flow with the circumstances and let Hashem lead you to the best place. But sometimes in life, that's the worst thing you can do. Hashem is looking to ignite a certain initiative, and He wants you to take a step forward and to do something. The verse HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless you within your actions. So sometimes taking action is like pivoting up against Hashem, but sometimes being passive is ignoring Hashem's calling. So again, this debate is very, very difficult. And the deepest sense of the soul is to be able to be sensitive enough. When is my action, my initiative, something that's, again, like in human relations? When is the person in front of me anticipating me to take action? And when do I need to just be quiet and listen and take things quietly? So again, that sensitivity, that sense is very, very acute. Also in the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, what's the, again, the finger rule here? What's the basic rule? The more a person is in a lowly place, like if I'm not in I don't have high clarity right now, I fall into the ground. And I'm in a lower place, then I need to roll with the punches. I need to now accept HaKadosh Baruch Hu's leadership. But the loftier my mentality, the more clarity I have. If I have, like now, something shines to me in my mind, I have a clarity that this is a calling here, then I'm not allowed to ignore my calling. So when a person is in a state of lowliness, that's called Yaakov. So this is how he explains the phrase. What's the blessing? Again, what's the compliment that Bilam is complimenting the Jewish people? That he looks at them and he sees that all these people are modest enough, they're meek enough, that when they're in a lowly state, they don't assume initiative. They don't insist. They don't again insist to fasten reality differently than what Hashem is. They're willing to accept HaKadosh Baruch Hu's leadership. That's called lo nachash b'Yaakov. So when you're in a state of Yaakov, so you have enough sense and sensitivity to realize your state and to not pivot up against Hashem's will, to accept whatever it is that Hashem leads in life. On the one hand, but on the other hand, velo kesem b'Yisrael, that when you do have that clarity, and there's an inspiration, then you don't ignore the calling from Hashem to take initiative. So when you have a lofty, high inspiration, then you're willing to stand up and lead reality and to have the confidence that Hashem is expecting this of you. But again, you need to be in the right state of mind. A person needs to be sensitive to the circumstances in front of him, and also to the relationship between where I am, where am I holding now in my soul, where's my mindset, and the circumstances. So in the meeting between the circumstances and my mindset, to be sensitive enough when it's a true calling. It's not just my ego. It's not just my will to, I'm not pivoting up against Hashem. I'm answering to Hashem's calling. And when should I stand back and accept the circumstances and roll with the punches? So that sensitivity is what Bilam blesses us or compliments us. That lo nachash b'Yaakov lo kesem b'Yisrael. That when you're in a lowly state, you don't pivot up against Hashem. And on the other hand, when you're in a lofty state, you don't ignore the calling. So you're always sensitive enough to sense what it is that Hashem wants now. Does He want a relatively passive reaction to reality, or is He anticipating your initiative to do something with reality? So again, obviously, Bilam blessed this to the Jewish people, but each and every one of us can pray also that in our personal lives we actually manifest this and manage in accordance with in the Torah this week, in the Ishbitz's interpretation. So we should know that every one of us has this sensitivity. We just need to be their hair. We need to have enough sensitive listening sensitivity to be able to feel when in life am I of a position where I can answer to Hashem's calling and take initiative and decide on my own accord. And this is what Hashem wants from me. Again, like a parent who wants you to take that initiative. And when am I being led? And in my current state, I should allow Hashem to lead me. So we should bless each other, that we always have that acute sensitivity to funnel ourselves correctly. And after we decide which approach to take, then we also need to make the correct decision. But once you've decided on the approach, on the correct approach, that's a much deeper, much more fundamental understanding of reality than what to do even, is which general approach to take. Is this scenario in life something that I need to accept or something that I need to change, I need to take initiative about? So we're blessing each other. We should always have that sensitivity to realize what's anticipated of us. And inevitably, if we realize that, we'll also have the clarity to choose correctly what to do and how to negotiate each scenario. Bezrat Hashem. Shavua Tov to everybody.